I wanted to reiterate something that I've mentioned before. It won't be new to old of our group from the previous meetings, but anyone who's here for the first time might wonder why it is that the Forest Park Historical Society is sponsoring these events. But I'm a former president of the Historical Society, and so I thought I would explain to any newcomers that we're doing this for purposes relating to the schools, but also for purposes relating to the city of Forest Park. We think the city has been intentionally an open and welcoming community, but so also has the school system. And so we're in partnership together. We're actually joined at the hip, as everyone knows. Schools and districts reflect on one another. And so we wanted it to be known that the school has also been open and welcoming. But this series is not occurring, starting now for the first time. We started in 2023, and we wanted to celebrate Winton Woods School District how they uniquely have prepared students for what we call success in the 21st century. It has turned out that many of our district alumni are what I call purpose-driven, big issue people, or winners, as Wendell Ellis suggested they be called. We've had 12 alumni speakers to date, whose talks can be seen on videos that have been produced by Waycross Media, Community Media, and you have only to go to YouTube to find them. You enter the Forest Park Historical Society Great Grads series, and you'll find those that have preceded today's event. But with help from Dave Bell, he's the retired now Winton Woods music director, we started the third year of our programming with focus on the performing arts. We had not done that uniquely ahead of that time until January this year, and so there have now been 4 only this year. Today's speaker is the 5th in this series of performing arts. 2 more have accepted invitations for August and September, and following our summer recess, we don't meet in June and July, but we always meet once a month, and it'll be August 5th for our next Great Grad to be presented. And I have a flyer. We have multiple copies of this flyer for anyone who wants to get better informed about our August speaker. You can pick one up on the way out. But then we'll be in recess for June and July. But now I want to turn it over to Dave, who is our former music director at Winton Woods and acquainted with our speaker today in a uniquely way.
Good afternoon. When I first taught Dr. Williams as a student, I knew him as Brian. So I hope he'll forgive me when I fall into the familiar form of address from time to time, out of habit, as my associations with Brian are positive and the memories fill me with pride. He now goes by the stage name or professional name of B. Chase Williams. Dr. Williams graduated from Forest Park High School in 1986. As I did the mental math last night, I realized, much to my surprise, that he was actually in my very first freshman chorus that I taught at Forest Park High School. I didn't realize that until I started clicking through it last night. My recollection is that we shared a lot in common at that age. We were both very energetic young men who were both very socially oriented and loved singing. We both also, and check me if I'm wrong on this, but we also belonged to that highly selective club known as PKs. All right. You all know what a PK is? Okay, preacher's kids. So, preacher's kids, that's a whole different club, isn't it, Brian? Yeah, so we'll talk about that later. Anyway, how well those things have served Dr. Williams over the years. His gift of connecting with people and sharing the love of God through his music and a high energy environment has certainly served him and others well over time. And I can say this stuff since I'm not in the classroom anymore. So I think I've seen Brian once in the past 40 years, so today is pretty special for me. If memory serves me right, and that's a big if, I think you were singing in a gospel choir named something like the Resurrection Gospel Choir. I remembered accurately? All right. It was a taping about 30 years ago or something that our friend Bobby Cartwright was doing at the convention center downtown. And I saw you for 30 seconds as you flew by in your robe during the taping when you were about to sing. But in spite of the fact that we've not seen each other, I've had a great opportunity to follow his distinguished career. Since his graduation from Forest Park High School, B. Chase Williams graduated from Central State University with a degree in music, and in 2022, he received an honorary Doctor of Sacred Music degree from the School of the Great Commission Theological Seminary, which is located in Columbia, South Carolina. Dr. Williams is a minister and founding director of the award-winning Sha Bach Gospel Choir in Atlanta, Georgia, now in their 28th year of ministry. Atlanta, for those of you who are not in the know about gospel music, is a hotbed of gospel music. And I'm proud that he's a spiritual and musical leader of one of the premier gospel choirs in Atlanta. B. Chase Williams and Sha Bach I'm pronouncing it correctly, Sha Bach, have won numerous awards for their CDs, including Stellar Awards, Gospel Music Workshop Awards, and many others. You can find their music ministry on Facebook and YouTube, which I highly recommend if you need a quick pick-me-up or a healthy caffeine alternative. Finally, B. Chase Williams himself has toured with Donnie McClurkin, the Bobby Jones Gospel Show, the Gospel Music Workshop of America Convention, Reverend Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Coalition, and I'm proud to say Jesse Jackson was the speaker at my graduation from UC, the Gospel Heritage Foundation Conference, and he was a background vocalist on Michael Jackson's song, They Don't Care About Us, which was at number 10 on the Billboard charts. And I was trying to put this together. Was Janet Jackson also a singer on that cut as well? Because that was late in his recording career, correct? Okay, good. So I'm 2 for 2 on memory today. All right. So anyway, it's my honor to introduce to you one of our truly great grads, Dr. B. Chase Williams.
Definitely. Hello, everyone. How y'all doing? Well, I'm glad to be here. It is an honor to be able to come back to your roots, come back to home, come back to a place where you were born, you were raised, literally. I wasn't born in Forest Park. When I was born, we were living in Madisonville, Ohio, but I moved to Forest Park at a very early age with my family, and to the point that my elementary school is no longer Cameron Park. I drove by and it's gone. It's not there. I've been here. I spent all of my life in Forest Park, and it is definitely something that I'm very proud of. Forest Park has played an amazing part in my life. The relationships, teachers, the experiences, both good and bad. But it all made me who I am today. And when I think about, I'm kind of probably going to be all over the place. I'm nervous for some reason. You don't hear me say that often. Like Mr. Bell said, I've done a whole lot in my career. My career has afforded me the opportunity to travel all over the world, doing what I love doing, and that's music. The gift of song, the gift of music has always been a healing agent on so many different levels for everybody in everybody's life. And so for me to be able to be one of those agents that are used in the earth to bring such a positive message through the medium of music, I'm excited about it. I love doing it. That's who I am, which takes me back to where I wanted to start out. When I think about my upbringing and education within the Forest Park, Green Hills, now Winton Woods School District, a few words come to mind, and it's foundation, family, career readiness, and you said something when you were up giving your words, and you were right in my winners. You talked about winning in life. And all of those words are true testaments of what growing up in Forest Park did for me. Did I have an amazing, wonderful, drama-free life in Forest Park? Not at all. Not at all. If you would have known me growing up, I mean, I was always a great kid. I was always everybody's favorite. Got some of my neighbors in here right now. They'll tell you they love me. But I made some crazy decisions in life. And a lot of the craziness that came in my life was because I was trying to follow a path that wasn't my path. I was trying to follow a path that everybody else wanted me to follow. And because I was not doing what I wanted to do or what I felt like I was created to do, I was rebellious. And rebellion can end you up in a whole lot of crazy situations. I'm sure some of y'all have been rebellious at some point in time in your life. But because of my village, I was able to overcome every obstacle that was placed in my way. And when I think about 3 people that really made a positive impact in my life from a young age, I have to go all the way back to my 6th grade years at Forest Park Middle School. And my 6th grade teacher, Miss Nancy Neese, has always been a mainstay in my life, the forefront of my head growing up, because of the way that she as a teacher cared so much for her students, and the way that she, the way that she took time with us and spent with us and made us feel like she really cared. She wasn't just a teacher, she was a teacher that cared. And I haven't seen Miss Neese in probably, I've been gone from Forest Park. I graduated in 1986. How many years was that? And that was high school. Miss Neese was my 6th grade teacher, so y'all already know how long that was. But I had not communicated with Miss Neese, and I reached out to when I got this invitation to be a part of this, and I was just starting to think about different people that were so influential in my life and in my journey. She was the first name that stuck in my head. And I just went to Facebook, and I called her through Facebook, and she answered. And she's here today. My sixth grade teacher. So, Miss Niece, I want to just say in front of everybody here, thank you. Thank you for caring. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for seeing. She even saw in me the musical influence on my life. I was going to say the musical genius. She saw the musical genius in my life at such a young age, 6 years when I was in my sixth grade class. So, and she was always encouraging. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. She even took up. Yeah, please. Go ahead.
First day of school, we're all lined up to go, and Brian said, "This has been an amazing day." So you know what kind of leader he would be. "Let's all sing if you're happy and you know it." And they all sang. They all sang. And I have told that story to my kids. They know who you are.
Wow, thank you so much. So, Ms. Niece, also in Forest Park Middle School, Mr. Hess, he was my chorus teacher. Alfred Hess. No, was it? What was it? Hal Hess. Mr. Hess, it's been a long time. I'm old now. He was very influential. Definitely somebody. He was our music teacher. He was definitely influential. He used me. He always put me up front. I did a lot of solos there. So had a great bond with him, and he was always pushing, "Oh, you should do this, you should do that." I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll do it." But Mr. Hess was a big influence in my life. But then when I got to Forest Park High School, Mr. Bell, David Bell, became like a godfather type. We all the students just loved Mr. Bell. Mr. Bell, he cared for us. He wasn't a easy, he wasn't a pushover at all. He was not a pushover. And I think that I've taken some of your attributes, some of your traits, and use them in my journey as I lead. Because I'm not a pushover at all. You see greatness, and you pull the greatness out of people. And you saw greatness in me, and you pulled the greatness out of me. And I say thank you for that. I really, really appreciate you. I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, how I'm doing, if it wasn't for freshman chorus, concert choir, varsity ensemble, the plays, and things of that sort. You were very strict. You made sure that we did what we did, and we did it in excellence and professionalism, and that's why I'm the professional that I am today, because of some of your greatness.
I think the worst thing you can do is to not expect someone to live up to their potential.
Definitely.
And to send the message that you don't believe
Definitely.
that they have that potential.
Definitely. Exactly. I definitely agree with that. While I advocate for education and higher learning, I also know and understand that it's not for everyone. And even with myself, I went that journey. I did it because everybody, this is what you need to do. You got to do this. You got to go to college. You got to do that. But as I said, it wasn't for me. That wasn't who God called me to be. And it took me to go through all of that, and nothing come of it, from it. I hit my head against the wall a few different times, hit dead ends a few times, because I was trying to walk out a path that somebody else wanted for me, but not what God created for me. And it wasn't until I understood what God's assignment and purpose on my life was that things started to really happen for me. My mother says that I used to sing, she felt that I used to sing in her belly when she was pregnant with me. And I remember a story and not to be deep or spiritual or anything like that. My mother said when she was pregnant with me that one of the seniors of the church, one of the mothers, walked by her and touched her stomach and said, "You have a highly gifted boy on the inside of you." And that was before I was born. Her name was Mother Irby. And when my mother tells me that, it's just amazing because she knew before I was even born the greatness of God that was going to come through my life. So I answered the call of being who I am. Like I said, I made a whole lot of mistakes. Didn't make a lot of the right choices and right decisions, but every mistake that I made was a part of my journey, and it got me to who I am supposed to be. So, there's a couple things I want to say. Mr. Bell talked about my choir. I started a choir when I moved to Atlanta, and the choir is actually not 28 years old. The choir, in September, will be 33 years old. And for 33 years, we recorded our very first CD in 1995. It was entitled, and all of my CDs are on my back right now. We recorded my first CD in 1995, and that went to the top of the charts. It was in the top 10 for at least 26 weeks, top of Billboard gospel charts, toured all over the country, all over the world. And hence, years after that, more CDs came, more opportunities came. I've been, as they stated, was able to be a part of Michael Jackson, the king of pop, the late, great Michael Jackson. I Don't Care About Us song. I sang background. They flew me to New York. We were in Sony Studios, and that was an amazing experience. I've toured all out of the country. I've been on stages of tens of thousands, and I've been on stages of just 100 people, or in small churches with just 100 people. But none of that stuff really matters to me. What matters to me most is that something that I say or that I do touches somebody in a positive way. We not just sing, but we do community outreach. We give clothes to the homeless, food for the homeless. We go into the institutions and we sing and have ministry time with the inmates. And I think for me, those are some of the most, the big things for me as to what my celebrity has done for me. It's afforded me opportunities to reach people, if you understand what I'm saying. I use my platform not for myself, not to boast or brag. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a humble guy. I'm very humble. I'm a PK, so I've learned the hard way. And sometimes, even with being a pastor's kid, growing up, I didn't like that, because a lot of times as a child growing up, because my father was so involved in the church, he didn't get to be involved a whole lot with what I was doing growing up. And I resented that. And I allowed that to turn into something else, and it caused me to react in certain ways. But thanks be to God, I realized that he had to do what he had to do, because he had said yes to a higher power, and that it did not change the fact that he loved me and that he supported me how he could. So, what I do is for the betterment of people, and it's not for celebrity status. It's to be able to be a blessing to somebody's life, to make a positive impact in somebody's life. I have younger people that are a part of my choir that are attached to me, that call me father, call me dad, and they look up to me. The times that we just say, "Hey, Dad, what should I do about this?" And they sit, they listen to me. They trust me enough to bring their life to me, to be able to be an influence in their life. So, which takes me to my honorary doctorate. It's not an earned doctorate. They call me Dr. Williams. Well, you didn't earn it. Well, no, I did earn it. My honorary doctorate is symbolic, and it doesn't carry the academic weight of an earned doctorate, but it reflects my extraordinary real-world accomplishments and influences that I've made in the lives of people and the community. And that says a whole lot to me. And so I used to say, nah, I don't even put that on my name, just don't call me that. But I earned it, and I'm excited about it. So, yeah, that's me. What else? Just to get up and start talking about yourself is a hard thing to do. I'm a living witness that if you align yourself with God's plan and will for your life, you will achieve greatness. I wasn't a model child. I wasn't a model student. And I'm not ashamed of any part of my journey. Yes, I've made bad choices. I've made many mistakes. I've hurt others along the way. But for every mistake and bad choice that I made, I also learned some huge life lessons that have caused my life to be blessed above and beyond measure. I've been blessed, as I said, to stand on stages all over this world in movies, productions, plays that millions have experienced. And it didn't start with the lessons I learned. It started with the mistakes that I made. So never negate your mistake. When we talk about failure, failure is not final. Sometimes you have to fail in order to win. And for me, that's the motto of my life. I hit a whole lot of failures. I hit a whole lot of dead ends. And for every last one of those, God created an opportunity, an open door for me to be exposed to the world, to be able to be a positive influence and make a positive difference and impact in somebody's life. So when I think about Forest Park, the foundation there was amazing. I grew up in the B section. When we moved to Forest Park, I was like, oh God, this is beautiful. I thought we're rich. And being surrounded by my family, because we lived on one side of the street. My father's sister, who was my aunt, lived across the street. Down the street, my cousin Brenda lived down the street on the corner. And we had family all through Forest Park. So I grew up in the school system with my family. I had cousins that were ahead of me, right along with me, and behind me. So I wasn't really a big fighter, but if anybody ever messed with me, I knew I could call on one of my cousins. Or all they would say, you don't want to mess with him. That's one of them Williams. And them Williams are crazy. But so family and having that family support. When I think about Forest Park and what it brought to my life, community. When I think about our neighborhood, George Cummings, it lived right down the street from me, and me and his son Mike were very, very good friends. And I used to be at George's house every day, to the point that they would say, okay, it's time for you to go home. But it was just that. My next door neighbor, the Danbergs, Rebecca, Lewis, Emil, Danberg, people from all different walks of life, we just embraced one another as a community. So that's where I think I really learned community, not just from church, but from my actual community, because I grew up in a community that embraced everybody, a community that said, I don't care what walk of life you come from, you're loved, you're necessary, you're needed. And so I took all of that and I lived by that every day. Even in my own ministry, my choir is full of people from all different walks of life. Some people be like, well, why you let them sing? I said, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? I don't judge people. I love people. And sometimes all you have to do is express love, genuine love to somebody, and whatever issues they have, they'll go away. You got to love them with a pure heart and love them from a pure place and not from a place of judgment. Because I was judged for so long because I was not what someone thought that I should be or went the way that I should have went. But then when I became who I am and got the level of notoriety that I got, then they went, hey, how you doing? Can I get a ticket to your concert? No. Buy it. So, yeah. Let me think. Is there anything else I want to say?
He said, I was homeless in Atlanta at one time. I know the struggle. I've slept in shelters and on park benches, and I never forgot that.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, when I first left Cincinnati, I left in a rebellious state. Some things hadn't worked out in my life the way that I wanted them to work out. And so I got a one-way bus ticket to Atlanta, Georgia. Did I know anybody there? No. Did I know what was going to happen when I got there? No. But I was chasing a dream. I knew that Atlanta was becoming the black music mecca. It was in the South, it was very big for gospel music, and that's all I've ever loved. That's all I've ever wanted to do as a child. I sang my first solo in church at 7 years old. My mom said that when I sang, they started the introduction, and I told them to stop, and I reached in my pocket, Miss Niece, and pulled out my shades and put them on and told them, okay, now we can start. So, I mean, I've been a performer all my life. But when I went to Atlanta, it was in a very strategic time in my life, challenging time, and because I had such an amazing upbringing, when I went to Atlanta, the first place that I checked into, the hotel I checked into when I left the Greyhound bus station, was the Hyatt Regency Hotel on Peachtree Street. If you didn't know anything about Hyatt, that's not a budget inn. It's a five-star hotel, and with five-star prices. But that's all I knew. Growing up, I only experienced the finer things. I had a wonderful family. So I was just kind of like defaulting to what I knew. Not, you maybe need to stay in the Motel 6 so you can stay a little longer and save a little more money. Nope, I went to the Hyatt. And it was until I came back one day and couldn't get in my room because I didn't have any more money on my account. And I had to make a decision if I was going to go back home or if I was going to stay there and stick it out. I decided to stay there and stick it out. Hence, I ended up on the streets of Atlanta. I literally slept on park benches. I remember sleeping. I would walk to the point that, because I could never imagine myself just sitting and going to sleep on a park bench. So I would just walk until I know that when I sat down, I would just knock out. I could say that I'm ashamed of some of the choices that I made, even while I was homeless, just to be able to have some place to sleep. But I did. But God kept my life. I stayed at almost every homeless shelter in Atlanta, Georgia, and got put out of every homeless shelter in Atlanta, Georgia, because I broke the rules. I ended up at the Cathedral of Faith Church. They had a homeless shelter. That was the last homeless shelter I stayed in. I ended up there, and that was where they had like one of the best music ministries in Atlanta, Georgia at that time. And to be a member of their shelter or resident of the shelter, you had to attend their services. So I attended the services, and mind you, I was a PK. All that time that I had been there, I was in the streets. I wasn't thinking about church. I was doing my thing, or what I thought was my thing. Went to Cathedral of Faith, and the worship experience was just so amazing. It reignited a fire on the inside of me to the point that I recommitted my life to Christ and recommitted my life to my journey and to the purpose that God had for me. And from that place, I stayed in their shelter for maybe 5 or 6 more months. My parents came down, tried to get me to come home. I said, no, I got to stick this one out. I never turned back and came back home. I stayed there through it all and moved from the homeless shelter to a rooming house, from a rooming house to staying in an apartment with like 6 other roommates, to staying in an apartment with 6 roommates, to maybe an apartment with 2 roommates, to end up with my own apartment, to ending up with my own house, ending up with my own car. So it's what I'm saying is, from that point, once I said yes to God and recommitted my life to Him and to my life's purpose, everything started working out for me. Everything. Everything started working out. So that's why I have such a passion for homelessness.
Comes up that you once established a home yourself for others that were homeless, and it was called Mellie's Pride.
It was called Mellie's House.
Mellie's House.
It was Mellie's house. Mellie was my grandmother. And I started that house. I opened up that house in the name of my grandmother. And Mellie's house was a transitional home for people that were coming out of the system for homelessness and for HIV and AIDS victims. It was in the city of Fairburn, Georgia, and the neighborhood that the house was in, beautiful house, wonderful program, but we kept continuing to get so much flack from that neighborhood in that city because they did not want that type of program in their city, in their neighborhood. And we ended up having to shut down. So it hurt me like desperately, because I thought that this was going to be really something huge and big, and that everybody would jump on board of a program that would help other people. But you'd be surprised how many people don't care about other people if they're not where they are. If they're under them, they're considered a threat to them, and they don't want to help them. Michelle Obama said, you may not always have a comfortable life, and you will not always be able to solve all of the world's problems at once, but don't ever underestimate the importance you can have. That's the heart of resilience, knowing that each seemingly insignificant action can contribute to a more robust approach to adversity. And yes, that just blessed my life, that statement. That speaks to who I am. But if I was to leave one word to every person here today, it would be continue. Continue to live. Continue to try. Continue to win. Continue to fail, knowing that failure is never final. As long as there is life, there is hope. Continue to be great. Continue being a positive influence. Continue to love. Just continue. Don't stop. Continue. You can always achieve greatness, but you have to continue. Gotta continue.
Well, thank you. It's our custom to present our speakers with a token of appreciation.
Thank you.
And I have one behind you here. It's in that bag. And I hate to suggest trying it on because it'll cover the magnificence. But it should not be too small. This is a size that is the largest available.
He just called me fat. I will wear it with pride. Although I will wear it with love and pride, although I'm not a Winton Woods Warrior. I'm a Forest Park Charger.
What I did to
They're the same DNA.
Yes, they are.
but the Spirit Shop and the high school looked at the picture of receiving the award for the honorary doctorate degree. You were wearing an academic gown. And he said you would need a double X.
So he's still trying me. That's all right. Sure. Well, yes, Mr.
He
Bell.
gave me a hug, and that's pretty much muscle, I can tell.
Thank you, sir. What would you like? I'm a gospel singer, so. Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, and forever will be. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thou hand has provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. So I think I made it.
You made it.
Just about. Before I go, Michelle, can you give me those flowers back there, and those 2 cards? I have some family here that I'm very excited to have. My oldest sister is here, Doris Jean. My cousin Lynn, Trey, Kiana, Sade, Brenda, Michelle. They're all here. Come on, and oh, you know what? I keep overlooking Tamara.
Don't play with me.
I told y'all, this was one of my cousins from the F section. And when I was talking about having cousins growing up with you, she was behind me, but she was a fighter. But I am so honored to have, and my cousin Rhonda over here, so honored to have my family here. To have family that love you and that support you means the world to me, and I wouldn't trade them for anything. I have the best family in the world. So I salute But I couldn't let this day go by without, Miss Niece, this is for you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for just being who you are to so many people. You've been such a positive influence in the lives of so many people. So thank you for being an influence in my life. And thanks, Dan, for that. And Mr. Bell, this is for you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. One last story, and I'm out of here. Is Miss Niece, when we were her class, and that's probably one of the reasons why I really loved her. She took the entire class for how long were we at your house? Or when we went? It was a couple days. The entire class, we camped at her home, and we had such an amazing time. To this day, a lot of our classmates, that's like the topic of conversation when we're talking about how much fun we had. So, yeah, that's the type of community I grew up in. Teachers that love their kids, their students, that they would bring them over to their house, no matter how bad they were. So, thank you so much for having me. It was my honor to be here. And, yeah, I love Forest Park.